Hello everyone and welcome to the ARCS Paperclip 250 here at Martinsville. It is the final race before the Final Four starts, and I am here tonight to call the action. I am Kevin Young. I am not here joined tonight by Carmen Sienna. She had a personal reason to have a vacay. So, in turn, I'm here tonight manning the cameras, manning everything, so hopefully this broadcast doesn't end up a little bit too scuffed, but we're going to have some fun and cover a filling round here in the round of 8 to lead to the Final Four here. So we'll cut on track here as Daniel Michel is doing a few practice laps here, but qualifying has just concluded. Well, at least every driver has done a qualifying lap, I should say, in regards to this. As we see on top, Brandon Featherplace and Joshua Gaiman will lock out the front row here tonight as we go on. So we'll take a quick moment here to take a look through the championship standings here, as we do have a minute here before warm-up is going to start, as I don't actually have the time on the ticker here, so give me 1 second here. So it should be, actually we'll just switch to the tower here. Oop, wrong one. Actually, that's the live thing. Sorry. A little bit still getting everything manual here, but there's a little bit less than 4 minutes to go here in qualifying, so we'll quickly go over the championship here. So we'll pull up the championship standings here. We'll close off the graphic here, and we'll take a look at, since it is a playoff race, what the standings look forward tonight. Obviously, we look at the top here. Joshua Gaiman leads the way as he won in the Las Vegas race and locked himself into the Final Four. He does not have to worry about tonight, but after that, it's going to get a little bit sketchy here for the rest of the drivers here. If your name's in red, you're in the Final 8. So Brandon Featherplace currently at 499 points. He is currently above the line, 11 points above Daniel Michel. So he's pretty good, looking good tonight, and obviously he is 19 points ahead of David Wright, first driver out. So he's looking good at the moment, but obviously getting some good stage points would help him on. Seth Wansing's at 491, and Daniel Michel at 488. They're the other two drivers in, both 11 and 8 points above the line, if you will, of successfully getting in. David Wright, first driver out, currently at 480. If he can get some good stage points here tonight, he should have a chance to launch his way into the top 4 if he gets a good run, but he's going to need some luck, bad luck from Michel or Wansing. Stephen Oberstadt, currently at 470. Not as much, currently 18 points out from the line. He's looking relatively okay at the moment to not be in a win-you're-in situation, but going to need some more help here. Then we got Tommy Reynolds and Emma Kruger, both drivers here that are pretty much in must-wins. Actually, I don't think Emma Kruger is here tonight, so she is basically almost eliminated. But Tommy Reynolds in a must-win, being 27 points behind here. So it's going to be an interesting night to see. Some drivers are in must-wins. Other ones can maybe still point their way in with stages and whatnot. But it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out here tonight. So we'll turn that off. There we go. Now back to the ticker here. Give me a second. Sorry. Wrong one. There we go. So qualifying is about to conclude here, as we still have about 7:30 on the clock. So 2 minutes and 30 seconds here on the time here. Oh, there we go. Sorry. There we go. That's the clock right there on that point. By the way, if there is any audio issues or concerns, please let me know in the chat. I'm keeping it on the Twitch chat. So again, first time producing this. So if the audio is a little bit off, please let me know in that regard. But I did some tests beforehand. I think we'll be okay as qualifying has finished up here. Well, every driver has done a lap. We're just waiting out the 2 minutes here, and we'll get ready for warm-up, and then we'll be going green for 250 laps here in the main race. So while we take this kind of opportunity here to get settled here, I guess we'll go into a little bit about what Martinsville is, I should say. Martinsville obviously is a short track here, very aggressive. Drivers going to be beating and banging, bumping and bottling to try to get through, to try to get to the lead and take the lead here. It's one groove racetrack, so you're going to have to use defenders sometimes to get someone around to move them. But it's also a bit of a positional track, if you will, where cars are going to be in a situation where they're going to want to be, you want to try to get track position and want to hold it because it's very easy. At least we saw earlier today in NASCAR, with a two-tire strategy, you can really hold out the tires. We may see some alternate strategies where drivers may favor trying to get track position and hanging on rather than taking 4 tires when all said and done. So qualifying with a minute 8 to go here, about to finish up here. It's going to be interesting to see as top 5 are all playoff drivers, all needing Wright, Reynolds, definitely need good runs. Michel, Featherplace, just looking to get nice runs as well to ensure they stay in the top 4. Wansing and Oberstadt looking to try to pull themselves up. We'll go over the starting grid a little bit more detailed after warm-up, but the clock's ticking down here. So please stay with us as we are going to get ready for warm-up shortly in just a minute time. And it's interesting because we've seen this throughout the year, I guess you can say. Drivers usually wait qualifying out here and go early, and a lot of drivers have. So usually we do see some drivers taking last-minute warm-up here, but really no one's electing to do that. They're all felt comfortable with the quali lap. They took a lot of practice laps, so they all feel comfortable, and they all feel good to go here to the end. So qualifying about to wrap up. It's going to be Feather Place Gaming, your front row here, with Feather Place taking the top spot with a 19-second lap time and 19.52-second lap time. All right, so we are going to get in the warm-up here. Now, there is a little bit of a special, not special, but a somber moment here as Tommy Withers, a driver here at A2 Competition's dad, passed away yesterday morning. And the drivers are going to go out here and do a bit of a moment of silence, if you will. They're going to show a little bit of a tribute to a fallen comrade's father in their own special way here. And they're going to go out there, rev their engines, going to blow them, and then going to have a moment of silence. So we are going to step away here and kind of let the moment kind of play out here as the drivers kind of pay the respects to Tommy Withers and his father's passing here tonight. All right, and that should include the warm-up, moment of silence we had for Tommy Withers' father. Again, A2 is a very tight-knit community here. A lot of drivers have respect for one another, and when someone loses a family member or a close one, or even when a driver sadly passes, the community comes together to show their respect for the driver. And if Tommy Withers is watching or he's not, I hope he can get through this tough time, and hopefully we can see him back on the racetrack soon. But again, A Squared's with you in this difficult time, along with ABN. But anyway, though, as warm-up has concluded here. Well, has not concluded yet. It'd be helpful if I put on the SDK overlay to let you know how much time is left. It's only 14 seconds, so time is about to run out here in warm-up. Last minute, last preparation here. We are going to get ready for the start of the race. All right. So as the cars begin the grid here, we'll actually just quickly do one quick thing here before we do this. We'll hide the tower. Let's take a quick look at the starting grid here in qualifying. It's going to be Brandon Featherplace locking out the opening position here. He will be joined with Josh Gaiman on the front row, working their way down the field. We have Daniel Michelle and Tommy Reynolds in row number 2, David Wright and Bren Roberts in row 3, Austin Mongold and Seth Wanzing in row 4, Stefan Oberstadt, Tom Sears in row 5, Ryan Pinnell and Edward Marshall in row 6, and that will actually be the starting grid here tonight. So a little bit of a shorter field than we're used to, but it's going to be all the same. Maybe a bit less chaotic, some of the drivers up front, not worrying about as much lap traffic, but it still should provide some great racing, as a lot of drivers are trying to get into that top 4 and compete for a championship. So we'll cut to this one. So there you can see that 34, Brandon Featherplace, regular season champion, if you will. Usually the regular season champion doesn't always have the best luck when it comes to playoff time. They usually sometimes have a mistake or two, but it looks like Featherplace is at least looking good right now at the moment in the playoff hunt. However, still got 250 laps to get through, and a win would definitely ease those troubles and get him some momentum going into Phoenix. Gaiman, obviously, on that front row, also has a win already. He's going to the championship for no matter what happens here tonight. So it's going to be 2 pace laps here. Gaiman and Featherplace. And the control will be on the green. Again, laps will fly by. Going over the stage real fast, it's going to be, stage 1 is going to be 50 laps, and stage 2 is going to be 150 laps. So those stages are going to quickly catch up, pass by on a 250 lap event here in the ARCS Paperclip 250. So one more pace lap here. So pace car is going to take the hard left into the pit lane. Green flag is out, and the ARCS Paperclip 250 is underway. Ooh, already going up in the 1 there. Josh Gaiman ends up going up the racing surface just a bit there. Going to lose a couple positions here. As he really misjudged that corner here. You can see right there the 4 almost gets ran to the back of Stefan Oberstadt there. And lap number 1 is going to go in the books here. And it's going to be Brandon Featherplace that takes his. Tom Sears is also taking evasive action here as drivers try to find their positioning and find their way out here. Try to make this situation make sense here. Featherplace, though, currently leads the way. You can see a little bit of a Russell tussle in the back there. A little bit of smoke there for Edward Marshall, trying to not lock it up just a bit to try to get around his team boss, Tom Sears. Sears has now fallen down to 12th. But such a long way, everything can change. Up front here, you can already see Michelle goes way deep in the corner. Right there, battle for 3rd. David Wright and Tommy Reynolds right there. David Wright and Reynolds. Reynolds in a must-win situation. Wright needing some good points here and some bad luck for either Wanzing or Michelle. Problem is, Michelle and both Wanzing are both currently situated in 2nd and 4th. So a win may have to be on the cards for that number 42 machine. Right now he's got the preferred line on the inside here. Try to get around the 7. Wanzing, though, thinking about maybe following the 42 if an opportunity arises. But right now just kind of waiting patiently behind here. See where the wind flows. Oh, car spins in the back where that's Edward Marshall. He's going to loop, and he's actually going to get collided up there with Brent Roberts. Looks like we stay green. The 2 as well is going to spin. Oh, sorry, the 12 of Ryan Pennell is also going to spin, and that will be our first caution of the night here on lap 5. Seen this a lot here for the officials. Just gets a little bit punchy on the throttle and ends up spinning the car around there. Reynolds, by the way, cut out for a second here. Reynolds was able to keep third away from David Wright. But when we take a look, we'll take one more quick look at that just to see if he did get any help or it was a spin here. So we'll pull up the replay here. Keep an eye on that black and red machine center of the screen, the number 16. So we're going to let it play out here. You can see a little puff of smoke, but it looks like 16's all alone. And yeah, he just gets a little too early on the throttle. It spins it, and nowhere to go for Brent Roberts. He piles in. And you can see Ryan Pennell trying to spin the needle, take the odd Martinsville chicane. Luckily, he does not hit anything, but he keeps it clean in that high new machine. So we'll cut back to live action here. Obviously, with only 7 laps in, I doubt any car will elect to take a pit stop for the most part. Obviously, Brent Roberts will elect to stop because he had a little bit of damage there, want to get it fixed up, or even burn fast spare. Should be noting, if you are new here, obviously if you've followed us here for the first 35 weeks of this action, we thank you for joining us for those 35 weeks. But if you are new here, all drivers are allowed 1 fast repair, and it looks like Brent Roberts is not electing to take the fast repair here. He will elect to kind of stay out here, and we'll actually take TV3 here, just give you a perspective if he can get out in time. Still a long pit stop window here. He's going to have to get kind of quickly here as Feather Place is now officially entering 1. But Brent Roberts will be able to leave pit road successfully, fix up his car, not burn a fast repair, and stay on the lead lap. Dogman in the chat pointing out Ryan Pennell has a goated paint, and I would actually agree with that. It's a great scheme. Actually, let's see if while we have another pace lap here, if we can get him a little bit a close shot here of it. Go to TV1 and look at that little paint scheme. Don't see the other one that's technically the 2, even though he drives the 12, but it's still a very nice paint scheme. That white blue looks beautiful. I'm not going to say it's the best paint scheme we've seen all season because a lot of drivers could easily contend for that, but that is definitely up there at the very least in that number. Technically, he's driving the 2 here, but he's driven the 12 for most of the season and looking to maybe put that thing in victory lane, or at the very least, put it on the podium. So back up front here, we did have the choose cone while I was kind of admiring the paint scheme here, as this is another thing they do around here if you're new. Feather Place Reynolds will take row 1. It's going to be Michelle Wanzing row 2, Wright Gaiman row 3, Oberstadt Mongold row 4, Pennell Sears row 5, and Marshall Roberts pole 6, as the pace car is going to come on in here. It's going to be on Feather Place's control. Green flag is out, and away we go again here on lap 10. Good launch there, pulls the inside. Other cars you can see in the background fanning out. Michelle holds off Wanzing. Gaiman looks like he's going to possibly be able to take a lunge. We'll cut over here to Gaiman, side by side with Seth Wanzing here as they battle for 4th, but the long way around isn't usually the ideal situation to make it in this regards. He's going to have a tough time there. He's also in the distance. Stefan Oberstadt and David Wright look like they have a battle there for a second, but it looks like Oberstadt may have had overcorrection as he is currently 5 seconds back. Or yeah, he looks like you can see him kind of get a little loose. Right now behind the 8 ball here, 6 seconds back. We'll see if he can get recruit back up here and put down some heaters. We'll cut back up to race lead here, Brandon Feather Place. He's got a Tommy Reynolds who's in a must-win situation right now. And we saw this last week where Tommy Reynolds had a strong car last week, but the problem was he kind of at Homestead, Miami, but he kind of burned up his stuff a little bit. He kind of over-abused the tires and then put him in a bad spot, and then he got trapped a lap down, and it was just trying to get back on the lead up the rest of the race, and he never quite did, and he ended up finishing pretty poorly, putting him in a bad spot here. Tommy Reynolds obviously got the most wins here in A-Square competition this season, trying to catch Jeremy Breo's record, and technically now his team bosses. They both drive for B-Tron. But in order to compete for a championship, not make this season, you wouldn't say a waste, but kind of feel like a little bit hollow, he needs to get around that 34 and win this race. Looking for the field here, everyone's kind of fallen into a rhythm of sorts, kind of just riding their own way, making their own regards, trying to find their flow, if you will. Checking that. It looks like Bren Roberts. Oh, look at that 61. We'll have to Scott loose there off of 4, similar to Edward Marshall. He'll lock it down, though, on the inside. But everyone's going to be able to pass him here. Stefan Obersack going to pass as well. He won't hit anything, though, so only thing that's going to be the foul is the time loss. But with that 61 having a win in his back pocket, he can't afford to have a bit of a bad run. But right now, back to 12 he will be. All right, look at the chat right now. We got someone rooting for Brandon Featherplace. Right now, he's doing what he needs to do. But you can see in the distance there, Daniel Michel is reeling in this top 2 here, albeit slowly. Looking at his last lap time, for instance, he ran a 1968, which was the second fastest in that queue. But Tommy Reynolds ran the faster one. Now he's going to have the preferred line here going into 3 and 4. He should be able to make this pass, and he will successfully make it. So put that number 7 machine up to the lead and put Brandon Featherplace down to the bottom. And right now, obviously we'll do the updated points when we get to the end of the stages here, but looking at it right there, it was not that big of a cushion between Michel and Wanzing. And with Wanzing being right now behind Michel by a point, it's not enough to swing the queue. So Michel, at the moment, would be the first car out of the top 4 if Reynolds were able to hold on. But obviously, still with 230 laps to go, a lot can change between then and there. Looks like Brent Roberts may have had another little incident on track. You can see he loses time on the board. Quickly cut to him. You can see, oh, he has spun it big time here. It's to a point where the leaders are actually going to catch him. There they go on the inside. So it looks like a little puff of smoke there. May have lost it going into 1 and just had to wait for cars. Now that number 1 machine is now 1 down. But luckily, only car lap down at the moment. But there could be a bit of a concern because Gaiman is not that far up the road here. We'll see if we can find him on the surface here real fast. There he is going into 3 and 4. We'll actually see if we can take a wide shot here, just kind of give you a perspective. There's Gaiman right there, and we'll see Reynolds and the crew will be coming off, entering exit of 4 right now. So he's got about a straightaways distance away from being put down, which is something Bren Roberts would like to see, as it would keep him on the lead lap. I mean, we allow him to get the lucky dog, you say, and Gaiman would stay on the lead lap. Ooh, there's the 25 Michel. He got a little loose off corner exit there, similar to Gaiman, similar to Roberts. Actually, not Roberts. It was similar to Marshall, I should say. But he keeps it under control, but he is going to lose a little bit of time here to Brandon Featherplace. Honestly, while we have this, I would say, break in the action here for a second, why don't we take a chance here and we'll ride on board here with Brandon Featherplace here for a second. We'll take it from a cockpit camera. It'll kind of give us a kind of a guided line around Martinsville here. Just kind of show us how hard you have to be going on the brakes here. So let's keep an eye on him here. As you can just see, off exit, he rides down, gets on the front, and then quickly gets on the brakes as hard as he dares. And he comes down and comes back up here and gets up through the gears. It's not, unlike other tracks where you gotta let off here, you gotta be able to get your brakes right, make sure your brake bias is correct, and make sure everything's set up accordingly in order to get good runs in and out. But they are, as you can see, he's making inroads, but he's not going as fast right now as Tommy Reynolds. He's a little 2/10 slower, but they're running identical times here. Steph Wanzing looks like he may have fallen into the clutch. That's actually Brent Roberts, his teammate. I thought it was David Wright, but David Wright has lost a little bit of touch to that number 9 machine, who's firmly in 4th position. Speaking of incidents right now, Austin Mongold has elected to take a pit stop here, and with a 42-second pit stop, looks like he had some damage he elected to fix here, or a little something. So he is took in service here. He's now currently 1 down, and he's going to try to avoid going 2 down here, because there's Tommy Reynolds right there in the back shot. That 4 machine not having a good start here tonight. So we'll see if there's any other battles we have on track at the moment. Looks like it's a bit close for 6th position here, as Tom Sears and Ryan Pinnell are within a little bit of a distance here. Neither driver fighting for a playoff spot, not fighting in the playoffs anymore. Both were eliminated in the round of 12. Both had good seasons. Tom Sears obviously won at Atlanta. Ryan Pennell got a third at Dirt Bristol and had a solid good season as well, but neither driver was able to make it out of the round of 12. Now just here to try to help their respective teams and disciplines as Ryan Power still leads the Constructors battle at the moment, but have Sunday Monday Racing and B-Tron chasing down their necks. So anything could still happen, but Tom Sears trying to help the team at the very least to ensure they bring home a Constructors Championship. If, at the very least, Tom Sears can't bring home a championship, nay, one of his teammates could as well. They are slowly reeling in David Wright. Speaking of David Wright, there he is in the 42 right there. Quick little cut we'll do to him. Actually try a bit of a different angle here. Yeah, we'll cut to that camera right there. You can see that he's got a little bit of a cushion right now, but looking at the lap times in question, actually, we'll see if we can pull up the battle box here. There we go. That'll give us a good perspective of where everyone is at the moment. You can see that he's currently in regards about 3.5 seconds, 4 seconds away from Seth Wansing, about 2 seconds away from Bren Roberts, who's currently one down. And he's got about a 2-second cushion to Tom Sears. So he's in a bit of no man's land, which is something you kind of like here in Martinsville. You don't get it very often, and you sometimes will see it in lower fields and other situations, but it's where you get kind of a break. He doesn't have to really worry about running into someone, right? He doesn't really have to worry about getting run into, per se. He kind of can run his own race here and bring it in. And we know David Wright is quite literally the tire saver, so having this opportunity, not really feeling pressure, he can make sure he saves his tires a little bit, make sure he brings them down, and maybe get himself a late run here and a late charge to maybe try to get up to Seth Wansing and get himself fourth, and maybe make the deficit trying to catch to Wansing Michelle a little bit favorable. But a lot can still change at the moment, and with the stage ending on lap 50, that can obviously change. So back up to Tommy Reynolds, already caught into some lap traffic here. We saw he was catching Austin Mongol, and almost he ran into the back of the four. Almost a late cut there. But now he is going to try to get around the four machine here, opposite the four, not wanting to put too much effect, being two down here. He's not in threat to get the lucky dog. Just up the road there as well, we'll actually cut to it. Josh Gaiman has caught some of his own people to battle here as well. He's reeled in Stefan Oberside, his teammate, and Edward Marshall. So with them not being too far up the road, as you'll see Tommy, we'll cut, see if we can get a good angle here to show what I mean. You can see right there, there's those three cars in question, and then Tommy Reynolds is right there. It's within reason that Tommy Reynolds could catch, and that's not going to be good news for Bren Roberts if they catch, because he'd have to take the wave around, and the problem is he did pin in the last caution, so he does have a little extra fuel, but the problem is that he doesn't have probably as much to really take advantage. He would need another quick caution in order to stay on the lead lap. So he's kind of hoping at the moment that Reynolds cannot catch any of these four cars we're currently watching in our wide shot here. So we've just hit 9 to go in the stage here. Reynolds, again, smooth sailing up front. Everyone kind of in their own little world here. Just kind of make sure they get to the end of stage. No major accidents, no damage. Don't want to burn the stuff up there. There's Brandon Fabplace getting around Austin Mongold to ensure there's no lap car between the two of them. But it's still going to be a tall ask to catch him, as pull up the battle box again to kind of show what I mean. You can see right there, 1.72 is the gap between Reynolds and Featherplace. Still a long, long way to try to catch that up. But it is possible if you can put down some heaters here. But the question is, does Featherplace want the extra stage points here? Because obviously 10 is good. It would give him a better cushion, but the problem is if he ends up wrecking, it could really put a monkey wrench in his chances of advancing. So does he think long game or short game here? Well, find out in due time. lap times have begun to fall down. Obviously, his tire wear has played a factor here. Wear has come down. So we'll fall back onto Tommy Reynolds here as he's slowly reeling in his teammate and playoff rival, Stefan Oberstadt, who's just up the road. Oberstadt, both rounds, he was able to get through by a last-second charge and a bit of a Hail Mary throw, using a tiebreaker in both rounds to ensure he got to the round of 8. And Oberstadt did look kind of strong at Homestead last week, but had a bit of a poor finish at the end, so he's really looking to have a strong, he has to have a good, strong performance here. And the downside is, though, right now being just on the tail of the top 10, he will get a stage point, but with a lot of his other rival, all the other playoff drivers getting more than him, it's going to basically put him in a situation where he's probably going to need a win here to ensure he gets and fights for a championship next week at Phoenix. So we'll cut back to Reynolds here. Two to go in the stage. Pit lane has officially closed, so no car will take service. He comes off 3 and 4 here. He will start the white flag lap in the stage. Stage ends the minute Reynolds crosses the line. So right now, with everyone kind of spaced out, it won't matter too much. But there is the risk here at the very least. But it looks like if anyone gets some last-second spots here, but it will not most likely matter, as Tommy Reynolds will come off 3 and 4 here. He'll do what he needs to at the moment here. He will win stage number 1 as he crosses the line. At least I was told it was lap 50. Looks like we are still green here at the moment. There's the call for the stage. So it's going to be the 7, the 34, the 25, the 9, the 42, the 14, the 12, the 16, the 61, and the 3, all getting stage points here tonight. So we'll do some quick calculations. While drivers make their pit stops here, we'll let that happen. I will make some quick updates to the points, and we'll get you some quick, some updated points here. So just give me a second, and we'll watch as Reynolds catches the pace car, and the cars take their service. All right, so now if we do show this as we see the race on pit lane, Sears and Gaiman come in after the second stop, so Reynolds will take back his provisional as he only took 2 tires for his stop. But we'll take a quick look here at the championship set here. There we go. Looks like it did calculate because the fender place was now a little bit closer in regards. So as you can see here in this regards, Josh Gaiman, obviously with the win, still has the lead at the moment, with Brandon Featherplace now closing the gap a little bit here. But most importantly, looking at the line continues to grow at the moment. It's now 10 points from Wright to Michelle. But worth noting, if Tommy Reynolds is able to hold on and take this win, the fight then becomes Michelle and Wanzing, where that gap is only 2 points at the moment. So a lot to play for here still at the moment. If you're Sunny Money Racing teammates, Wanzing and Michelle, you are hoping that Tommy Reynolds does not win this race and Brandon Featherplace wins it or a non-playoff driver wins it. But right now, it's a bit of a concerning moment if you're both the 25 and the 9, as you may be fighting each other for decides who gets that last stop in the playoffs. So as cars get to catch up here, we got the 2 to go this time by, so we'll have the 1 to go next time by. We will see the drivers bunch up here, pick their line, take their line choice, and choose where they elect to go. Okay, while this happens, again, just want to say thank you for anyone who's tuned in so far here tonight, ABN Esports 1. Thank you for joining us here for the ARCS Paperclip 250. I am Kevin Young. Carmen Santa is not here tonight, She will be here next week for the finale, but she had a personal matter to take care of, so we will see her hopefully next week for the finale, but it's just going to be me mocking the booth here tonight and me bringing the broadcast as well. So choose cone in effect. Tommy Reynolds take the inside line. Brandon Featherplace will take the high line. And working her way down the field, you got Michelle and Wansing in row 2, Wright and Gaiman. Wright and Gaiman in row 3. Marshall Pinnell, row 4, and Stefan Oberstadt, Bren Roberts, row 5, and Tom Sears and Austin Mongold in row number 6. Pace are going to pull off. It's going to be on Tommy Reynolds' control. Green flag is out, and away we go. We have a checkup there on the high line there. So you can see right now, it's like I said earlier, it's a kind of an important stage here for both the 25 and the 9. 9 has to stay close to 25. Make sure the 25 doesn't get extra stage points. And the 9 can't fall too far back. Michelle gets around the 34 feather plays. Wansing try to follow suit here on that low line. Feather plays looking for a way down here probably sooner rather than later. He's got a bit of a cushion after right, but obviously the downside would be, but it looks like he'll actually get clear, so I'll have to hold that thought as Featherplace is able to keep his nerve and hold on to third position. A little bit further back there, Marshall got a little loose, but it looks like he's okay here as he's battling Josh Gaiman at the moment. Oh, well, actually, I just cut away from an accident. Edward Marshall spun it, hitting the exit of pit lane here. He is going to get stopped. He'll get it refired here. Saw something, maybe a bit of a pre-emission, if you will. He'll get it going again here. No damage to the 16, but obviously a bit frustrated with what just happened there. Another hole he'll have to dig his way out of. But we'll cut to battle for 4th here. You can see right now Seth Wansing has a bit of a train form behind him at the moment. He did take 4 tires. All the field that came in took 4 tires, excluding Josh Gaiman and Tommy Reynolds. Gaiman took 2 fuel only, and I believe Reynolds took a fuel only stop, or at the very least 2 tire stop. Did not elect to take 4. Rest of the field elected to take 4. And the positive is that the 4 tires would be a bit faster, getting a little bit more speed. But the downside is Stefan Oberstadt gets a little loose there. I'll have to hold that thought. So I can find him on this battle box. There he is. He weaved it a couple times there. He'll back it down. He'll save it at that 3 without hitting anything, but it almost looked like he was going to get collected by someone. But luckily, he hits nothing. Back up to the action here as well. With Oberstadt's little mistake here, it's kind of bunched up this second pack here. Wansing was able to get a little bit away, and Wright's fall into the clutches of Ryan Pinnell. As you can see also on the battle box as well, Daniel Michelle did just have the, well, you didn't see it on screen, but looking at my own information here, Daniel Michelle just had the fast lap the race last time by, really taking advantage of those 4-tire fresh tires here, and he's slowly reeling in Reynolds. We know these people, these 2 drivers, Reynolds and Michelle, had a little bit of bad blood after what happened at Las Vegas. So obviously, with a playoff spot now officially on the line, Michelle wanting to make sure he gets in. A win would do that. And right now, at the moment, getting the stage points he gets will put him in a dead heat with Wansing. So, wants to ensure he gets as many stage points as he can here. Would want to get around that 7 or win this race to ensure that both he and Wansing get in. But we'll have to see on that front. So, as the field gets spaced out here, we'll keep an eye on this battle, but we're actually going to cut back. I was going to say we'll cut back, but we'll cut back here, back to what we were just watching a minute ago with Wright, Pinnell, and Sears here, as they're all pretty close here. We'll pull up the battle. Well, actually, we'll take a onboard shot here if we can find something here, kind of give us a good perspective here. Nope, that's not it. That's the camera we're looking for right there. We'll get a gearbox shot of the 42 here, so we'll put up the driver details just to show who it is. David Wright here, last win, obviously, at Daytona. And it just shows you, right now at the moment, he's just trying to hang on here. Sure, he keeps 5th position. He's got 2 very hungry drivers behind him. And at the same time, he's trying to... We'll now actually cut to another angle here. We'll cut to the cockpit cam just to show you how close he is to getting to Seth Wansing. So unlike in the previous stage where he was kind of a bit on an island, now he's pretty much in the middle here. He's kind of just hanging out and trying to gain spots and lose spots, and actually trying to be a push in this situation to really gain some time here. So we'll ride on board here for a little longer just to kind of show you his own perspective. It even shows right there, not far away, the leaders are. As you can see, Reynolds, Michelle, and Featherplace all entering the corners here. So it's still within reason. They've not really cooked it too far away. There, obviously, you can see them entering the corner as we speak. But, yeah. He sees the target. Can he catch up is the question. So we'll cut back to Reynolds here as he's going to catch some traffic here with Edward Marshall. Looks like Gaiman and Roberts actually have a battle, so actually we'll cut to that there. As we see a three-pack battle here between Roberts, Gaiman, and Overstat. Remember, Roberts went a lap down last stage. He was able to get back on the lead lap, and now he's in a bit of a ding-dong battle with Gaiman and Overstat, who both were in threat of going a lap down at the end of the last stage. So it looks like Gaiman will get clear. One B-Tron clear will get rid of the other one. There's Ryan Pinnell. Looks like he had a bit of a mistake off of 4, and he's going to now join this fray. Battle rages on here. So looks like it's set out. Brent Roberts ends up losing 2 spots to both B-Tron cars. But now both cars in question have a bit of a piece of red meat, if you will, sitting in front of them, and it's the name tag attached to it is Ryan Pinnell. We'll see if they can make a move here to try to get up to 7th position, respectively, for both cars. Ooh, another puff of smoke there. There's Edward Marshall. Looks like he had a bit of a mistake as well, similar to what we saw earlier there. Or last time we saw him, he was in front of Reynolds. Looks like he didn't hit Reynolds. Reynolds did not lose much time. But another little mistake there. It's going to put him in spot. Now Stefan Oberstadt thinking he wants to get around the 61 here. He'll have the preferred line, and he'll make it successfully happen. So put Stefan Oberstadt up to 8th, and then put Josh Gaiman down to 9th. So 77 laps here complete. This battle still rages on for the battle of 9th position here for the last end of the stage points here. This plays out here. We'll see if Roberts get around. We'll do a quick little race update here. Tommy Reynolds still leads the way at the moment. We'll cut to the other side of the track. There he is in that 7 machine with Daniel Michelle in 2nd, Brandon Featherplace in 3rd, Seth Wansing in 4th. And actually, it looks like cut away at the bad time there. Ryan Pinnell looks like he had another mistake there. Coming off a 2 this time, and it's going to cost him 2 more spots as both Roberts and Gaiman get around. And in the melee of that, Roberts was also able to get around Gaiman as well. So bad time to kind of do a little bit of a race recap there, but sometimes you can't predict when accidents will occur. We try to stop them, or at the very least get a better angle. Stefan Oberstadt gets a little loose off 4, and that's going to open the door for Brent Roberts to maybe make a move here. Roberts goes defensive here. Gaiman going to try to take the long way around. You can see the brake light, the brake rotors glowing there. Just a bright orange. Just shows you how hard you get on the brakes here to try to get into the corners. If you're not missing anything up front, Tommy Reynolds still has about a 1.2 second lead over Daniel Michelle. It is fluctuating a bit, but the 25 has not been able to really reel in the 7. So this battle looks like it's a bit spaced out. We'll cut back up to a race leader, Tommy Reynolds here, as he's catching some lap traffic. Speaking of lap traffic, he's going to catch Ryan Pinnell here. A little puff of smoke up in the air here. Looks like it may have been from a previous lap or 2. Reynolds wants to try to make quick work of this so Michelle can't catch up too much. It looks like Ryan Pennell will kind of heed to the battle here and let Reynolds go. It looks like he will also allow Michelle to... Actually, was about to let Michelle look like he was going to go, but the run off the corner ran out of time. So now Michelle should make a move here. Ryan Pennell will kind of stay out of the way here as well and let Michelle get through too. So Michelle was able to give him a little time there, but not a lot, as he's trying to get and catch Reynolds before stage ends on 150. So we'll kind of cut back here for a minute. We'll check on some of the other field here. We'll take this opportunity to take a bit of a, as the field's getting kind of spaced out here, we'll take this opportunity to kind of go a wrap around here. There's Brandon Featherplace here in third place. Current second in points, has a big cushion here. Just needs to keep doing what he's doing until he'll get around Ryan Pennell here. And he's looking good at the moment to make the final four. Seth Wanzing in fourth position right now has a 2-point lead. Well, at the moment, at the end of stage one here, right now, Michelle and Wanzing would be level at the end of stage two if everything were to hold. Meaning, if a driver that's not locked in the playoffs, not locked into the final four wins, this could smell doom and gloom, and one Sonny Mason car will be racing another for a chance to make the playoffs. David Wright in fifth. Not in a must-win situation, but needs to finish ahead of Wanzing Michelle to try to cushion the blow here to maybe lunge his way in, but with the gap growing at the moment, it looks like he may have to get a win in that 42 in order to lock the playoffs. But we saw him win it when the chips were down. He won at Richmond, so we'll see what he can do. Tom Sears currently in sixth position, a little bit ways away from David Wright. Obviously not in the playoffs anymore at the speaks, just looking to get a good run and help line power in the constructors. Stefan Oberstadt currently in seventh, as he's actually now in a battle with Brent Roberts. We'll stand this for a second here as Roberts is going to make a move. There's Austin Mongold. Looks like he looped it off of 4. Waiting for traffic to clear here, so we'll cut back here to see in a moment. But with this kind of field a bit spaced out, it's going to be hard to get it going. But he will do that in spades. And we'll see. It's probably got a little bit of damage, but we'll see how the driver, the number 4 here, elects to do. Will he come on in, or will he try to hang out here to the end of the stage? As it looks like he will actually come in. So finishing our point here, Stefan Oberstadt now down to 8th. In a must-win situation here, he has to most likely win this race to lock himself in the playoffs, as he's currently slots at 8th. Josh Gaiman currently at 9th, winning at Las Vegas. This race doesn't mean as much, so he's just trying to survive it, maybe put himself in a good spot for stage 3 in order to maybe win this race or get himself a good finish. But right now, his mind is on Phoenix next week. Ryan Pennell, currently last driver in the top 10, currently 1 down. See in the middle here with David Wright and Seth Wanzing. As a 12 driver, just looking to be the first car on the lead lap here. First driver on the lap down in order to get the lucky dog. There's Edward Marshall, 11th, 2 down. Currently just put another down by Tommy Reynolds. Now in the middle, Michelle and Featherplace, and Austin Mongold currently still off the racing surface. Looks like he may have called it a day. So that leaves us with 11 cars currently on the racing surface at the moment. Yep, you are correct there, John Smith. Only 12 cars here tonight. Now, technically 11. It's a bit of a shorter field here tonight, which is good for drivers that have high point leads coming tonight, as they won't fall as much. But it's a downside for cars that needed a good points haul to try to jump their way into the top 4. So actually, we'll find another battle here. It looks like gap's growing here, but we'll actually cut back to what we've been watching a lot here between Roberts and Oberstadt. As they've been having, Roberts, Oberstadt, and Gaiman having a bit of a battle here for the past couple of laps. It seems to be changing hands ever so often. At one point, Roberts has the upper hand, then Oberstadt has the upper hand, then Gaiman has the upper hand. Right now, it looks like the pendulum swing for Roberts, but Oberstadt not going to allow the car in question to pull away too far here. So if you just hit lap 100 here, so Tommy Reynolds now hit 101 as he's not that far away from this battle we're watching. Again, stage ends at 150 if you have just tuned in. Right now, Reynolds doing all he needs to ensure he's fighting for a championship next week. Currently leading the way. So you can see right there in the distance, actually we'll cut to him real fast here just to show Tommy Reynolds right there in the distance, catching this battle here. Again, he's held a steady gap to Daniel Michel. There's Daniel Michel right now as they've gotten around Josh Gaiman. You can honestly say this top three of Reynolds, Michel, and other players have held similar gaps at the moment. They've ran similar times here. Looking at last times, for example, a 20.2 for Reynolds, a 20.4 for Michel, now a 20.1 as he's gotten away from Josh Gaiman. He's been able to get back in his flow, and a 20.2 for Feather Place there as well. So they're all running 20.2 range, a low 20.1, high 20.2, as they're really just kind of running equal time. So it kind of makes me think that track position, when we see our next pit stops happen in stage 2, track position is going to be the name of the game. It's going to be the roll the dice situation, if you will, for these cars to elect to try to get track position. We saw Reynolds do that with 2 tires, and even with those 2 tires, he's been able to pull away and keep a distance to Daniel Michel. So it shows that 2 tires could be the way to go here if you need it. But just to see in the first shot right there, Oberstadt and Roberts fighting for what could be eventually the lucky dog here. Oberstadt will get around at the moment of Roberts. With Tommy Reynolds coming, it's interesting to note because Brent Roberts drives for Sunday Monday Racing. Stefan Oberstadt drives for B-Tron. So in a weird way of fortune, Roberts may be a bit of a thorn in the side for Reynolds. But at the same point, Oberstadt could be a thorn in the side for Michel when he gets to Michel and Feather Place. Obviously, fighting on the lead lap, you do not have to heat position if you don't elect to. But with this track being a track where the move it or lose it kind of situation, you may see if Reynolds gets put in enough of a bind, he may try to force his way through if the one doesn't heat position. Bit of a lockup there by the 1. You saw the puff of smoke. That's going to allow the 7 to roll the corner here, and he'll have the inside, so he should be able to get the move here done. Roberts going to try to fight on the high side, but it's not going to be much of help, as now Reynolds will put the 1 a lap down. Now the question is, how quickly can Michel get around? As we'll keep an eye on this. We'll actually take a wide shot here just to kind of show what I mean. We'll see if this actually works. Well, maybe a little too far back, but it will show what I mean at the moment. Right there, Michel actually going to make a move, so we'll cut to the 25. And the 1's definitely just going to get out of the way here and not put up much of a fight to his own teammate. We'll see if Feather Place can kind of follow suit here. Got it held up a little bit there. There's Gaiman fighting Wanzing as Gaiman's now still 1 down. But you can see right there, Roberts putting up more of a fight with Feather Place, though. At least through the corners, as now it looks like he'll kind of go wide here and allow the 34 to get around in that line-powered machine. Speaking of cars going 1 down, there's Tommy Reynolds. Looks like he's about to put Stefan Oberstadt 1 down. Oberstadt will also not put up too much of a fight here. Will allow the 7 to go on by. Take the spot. Daniel Michel, you'll see here next, trying to follow suit. Okay, will the 3 put up a fight here? Will he kind of just allow the 25 to get a preferred line? Michelle really axes the corner there, but again, a bit of a different of fortune here that we saw with Reynolds. He kind of just, obviously teammates let him go. Here, Oberstadt really putting the fight down here. He's not going to allow that 25 to go, and if he's going to do it, he's going to make 25 force his way through. Now that 25 has the inside, he should be able to make this work like clockwork. And he will successfully, so put Michelle up to second. But I don't think that 25 is going to be all too thrilled with that 7 as it's cost Michelle. I mean, 25 is not going to be all too thrilled with that 3, I should say, as it's cost the about 2/10 to the 7, the race leader. As you can see, the rest of the field has gotten, if we can look at the side box here, you can see by the tower here on the left side, as Brent Roberts looks like he'll allow Wansing to go there as well. That's actually one of those cuts with this to show what I mean. It's worth noting right now that Seth Wansing has really reeled in this pack here. We saw about maybe 20-ish laps ago, if you looked at the left tower, he was about maybe a second back to David Wright. A second ahead, I should say, of David Wright. And now he's really left David Wright in the dust, as that gap has now grown to just under 3 seconds. And he's really caught back up the Feather Place and Michelle in tow. So he's really found this long run pace in that number 9, that Miller Lite 9. Again, what could be a saving grace here is if he's in a regard, trying to get around Feather Place here, get himself an extra stage point here, could really play into his cards and ensure that he can fight for another, because he's already a 3-time champion in the A-Square Cup Series, looking to make it a 4th if he can get the Phoenix next week. But right now, getting around Feather Place would definitely help him in that regard, as the gap is now just under a second, as Feather Place seems to having a little bit of trouble trying to get around that 3 of Stefan Overstadt. Actually, speaking of, we'll actually take a chance here. We'll ride on board here, get a nice little cockpit camera of the number 9 car in question, Seth Wansing. Kind of gives us a little bit of perspective of how he rides around this circuit. Obviously, tires are a bit worn as in comparison to what they were. These aren't the fresh Goodyears he started the run on, so a little bit about conserving and about trying to make sure he brings the car, make sure he doesn't overcook the tires and put himself in a bad spot. But he's really found that long run price, and with, again, you can see the 34 not really in a fire mood here, not in like an over fire mood to try to get around that 3. It's really left him in a spot where Seth Wansing could try to capitalize here and put himself up in 3rd position if he can get close. But again, with it being a one-groove racetrack, he can catch that 34, but the 34 can't get around the 3. It's going to make it even harder for the 9 to get around the 34. Speaking of, actually, it looks like we had an incident on track here. We'll actually cut back the live action here. David Wright looks like he may have had an incident here. As you can see on the timing and scoring, he's fallen down to 16 seconds back and falling. So we'll take a look here. We'll actually pull the replay up here while we got a second. He's right there, that 42 car in the wide shot. We'll see exactly what happened here. I'm going to guess he loses it off of 4. Been a theme here for a lot of drivers. I assume that may be the case with him. And yep, he loops it off of 4 right there. Clips the wall. And actually, it looks like we do have a yellow flag that just got triggered as well. So back to live action here. Let me check the replay. We'll see exactly who it was for. See if I can find a car in question. Not popped up on our radar system, so I'm going to quickly cut through a few cars here to see. May have been for David Wright, but it was only a single car. Yeah, everyone else seems to be running for the most part here. Could have been a self-spin for the few cars back, but yeah, that will be our 3rd caution of the night here on lap 128 in the stage. And as we'll cut back up Tom Reynolds here, he will elect to come in along with the rest of the field, it seems. Yeah, him, Michelle, Feather Place, Wansing will all come in. And at the very least, this does save David Wright. As David Wright lost a lot of time here, now he'll kind of neutralize it a bit and be able to get kind of a second chance at life here to try to get some extra stage points. Tom Sears will actually elect to stay out here, so Tom Sears will inherit the race lead here. As a few other cars will take wave rounds here. Ryan Pennell will take a wave round. Edward Marshall will take a wave round. Brendan Roberts will take a wave round. Stefan Oberstadt got the lucky dog, so you'll just see right up there. Josh Gaiman as well will all take wave rounds. Back on the racer pit road, we'll see who gets out first here. And it's going to be Tommy Reynolds coming out. Actually, it's going to be Reynolds coming out again. He will take the be the first car out. He'll take 4 tires. Danny Michelle will be second. Feather plays third. Seth Wansing fourth, as Stefan Oberstadt elects to come in here as well after taking the lucky dog. And actually Tom Sears does as well. So that will re-inherit the lead back to Tommy Reynolds here. Actually, Gaiman will elect to come in as well. So a few drivers will forego the wave around and elect to come in now and maybe take the wave around at the end of 150. However, Roberts and Marshall will still take the wave round. Looking at the chat here, they got to get bunched up here. Theme Daddy in the chat brings a point. As we saw during the warm-up, we had a bit of a moment of silence for Tommy Withers and his family as his passing of his dad. Probably very close to his father in that regard, and his passing is probably it's not good to hear. And the A-Square community obviously is a very tight-knit, very close family, and want to pay the respects to the Wither family. So here at ABM, we also pass our regards on to Tommy Withers and his family at this time. But back to live act. Well, we're still in live action, but back to live action here. We'll see the choose this time by Reynolds will have first dibs at the choice, and he will go low side, and Michelle will go high. That will be the first two, and actually we'll take a wide shot here if we can get a good perspective. There we go. Wands will go high here. Feather Place will go low. That will make up row 2. Then Wright will take the first low on the inside line along with Sears. So we'll see how the rest shake up here. Looks like Gaiman, even though he's one down, is going to line up on the outside line of David Wright here along with Stefan Oberstadt. So maybe a bit of an odd situation as Oberstadt's technically on the lead lap. Gaiman is not. But Gaiman will line up against Wright. Then it'll be Sears and Oberstadt, and it'll be Ryan Pinnell in 11th as Roberts and Marshall get caught up here. But green flag in the air. We'll cut back up here. Worry about that later. Green flag. Reynolds gets a good launch. Michelle instantly cuts off the 34, and that's going to cause a bit of a check reaction there. Late move by the 25. Did not want the 34 to get around. And in turn, it's actually allowed the 9 to clear as well. So, in a roundabout way, it's actually helped Sears. I mean, it's helped Wanzi a treat, as that checkup allowed the Sunday Monday race cars to get second and third. But 34, Feather Place, and the 42 are right. Not going to be happy with that very quick move by the 25 going into the corner. But Michelle did not want to get railroaded on that inside line, and he made sure of it by keeping that position. So as we're on 137, stage ends at 150. Michelle and Wanzing trying to catch up here to Reynolds. And see the rest of the cars pretty much finding their flow at the moment. Looks like Stefan Oberstadt had a slight incident. We'll cut to him. Yeah, he's backwards off of 3 and 4 here. They'll get it refired and get it going, but now the concern is he in threat of going one down here, as he is currently across the start-finish line. Tommy Reynolds is through 3 and 4. There's the puff of smoke of where the 3 was. So now Oberstadt could be in threat of going one down, which wouldn't hurt him in the regard, but the problem is with Seth Wansing. Seth Wansing right now is in an interesting spot. He's only 2 points clear of the 25 right now. I'm not 100% if he knows this or not. He could be listening on the broadcast. He could not. But there's an element of interest here, because if he can get around Michelle, it would give him another lap of cushion. Because right now at the moment, Michelle would be at 9 points, Seth Wansing would be 8. And if Tommy Reynolds, let's say, holds on and wins this race, it then would move the cut line up, and then Michelle and Wanzing, with a 2-point gap, would be fighting for the last spot in. And if Michelle were able, obviously, to get the advantage in the stage, it'd be 1 point. And if Wanzing were to lose another spot at the feather place, it would put him 2 down. But it looks like Wanzing may try to press the issue here, but could also fall into the clutches of feather place. So Wanzing's in a how aggressive do you want to be situation right now. Because right now, if he doesn't get around Michelle, at the very least, he'd have a 1-point cushion, which would be a 1-spot advantage over Michelle. And at that point, the tiebreaker would come in and would be wins, if I'm not mistaken, and then it would be win and then most recency win, and then it would go to Michelle in that regard. So the tiebreaker right now favors Michelle, if my math is correct. And I'll have to check the standings if it does come to this. So Wanzing would want to get as much of an advantage as he can over Michelle. Right now, obviously, he's lost touch to Wanzing has lost touch this 25, so easier said than done. But there's that element. He can try to get around that 25, would give him another spot. So if he ends up finishing, let's say, 3rd to Michelle 2nd, then he would still get in. So, but with the stage coming close to an end quickly, as Bren Roberts actually elects to pit here, as we just see him on the timing and scoring board pit to take service. And we just see how this all plays out. Looks like Edward Marshall also just jumped to the pits as well, so he had a bit of a moment as well. There's a fit 2 to go in the stage here. Pit road is now officially closed. Wonder if it may have been in between Roberts and Marshall, just because with Roberts not really close to Marshall, may have been 2 separate instances in regard. But we'll cut back up to Tommy Reynolds here. He's just started the white flag lap in the stage. Cut to a far shot here, just to kind of get a perspective here. You won't put Stefan Oberstedt a lap down here, but the question really is going to come down to Michelle looks comfortable for 2nd. Wanzing, though, we'll see if he can get close enough to send. He'll be just a little bit too far back. And as Tommy Reynolds crosses the line, the stage should end here. Or at least it should, because we're at 150. But I guess it wasn't 150. As we continue on here, as now Seth Wanzing is going to make a move here for 2nd. And he will actually get around. And feather place as well, so Michelle lost 2 for 1 special there. So actually, I do have a correction to make. It was actually 125 was the 2nd stage. My mistake, it wasn't 150. The 2nd stage was already happened. We are now in the final stage. A little bit of a mistake there. Sorry about that. So we are now racing to the finish here. Now Wanzing, if he can get ahead again, so it kind of spins it on its axis here. We know Wanzing was behind Michelle when the caution came out. They are now, because we know when the stage came out, it was Reynolds at 125. It was Reynolds, feather place. It was Reynolds. Reynolds, Reynolds, Michelle, feather place. Wanzing was the top 4. So right now, at the moment, Wanzing has to finish ahead of Michelle here. It's a must if he wants to get into the final stage here. Ooh, puff of smoke. There's Bren Roberts. Cars are going to take evasive action there. Bren Roberts had a bit of an incident. His cars will successfully avoid him here. He looks like he'll tow back the pit lane here, but a little self-spin there. and it caused quite a bit of an issue there on the inside as cars had to take evasive action to get around. So as right now, we've been focusing on Wanzi here live. He's been covering up to the front here. Reynolds currently holds the way here at the moment. You can see he's 6 seconds clear of the commotion. And Marshall looks like he had another incident. That was in front of the traffic we were watching. Looks like it may have not had much of an effect. Look at this as it looks like Wanzi has no damage, so a little self-spin for the 16 machine. He has jumped back to the pit lane, but has not had an effect. So right now, things are getting a bit interesting here. As Wanzi makes a slight mistake, it's going to open the door here for Feather Place to try to go around the outside. Wanzing holds off the charge here and makes it work. So Wanzing's holding off all charges at the moment. You can see just in the distance there, David Wright is also there in the distance as well. Now we're focusing a lot on this battle, but this is the closest thing we have on track, and there is major championship implications in this spot as we're watching right now. As right now, Seth Wanzing, with Michelle currently being back in 5th position, losing a couple spots. Coming at the end of Stage 2, which happened at 125, the 25 and the 9 were level on points, and with Tommy Reynolds still leading this race, since he was on the outside looking in, he would bump his way in. And it would right now mean Wanzing would be the last car in at the moment. Well, with how it's shaking out at the moment right now, he would get in as he is currently ahead of that 25 machine. Looks like Ryan Pinnell had a little incident of his own as well. He'll get it refired back up, but not really much effect here. So we'll cut kind of here. We'll take an onboard shot here real fast. They're very close here on battle at the moment. We'll take a perspective here. We'll change cameras up here for seconds. We've been riding on this camera for a while. We'll ride on board here. We'll go with another cockpit camera here of Brandon Featherplace. Kind of ride on board here with the second here just to kind of show us as he's currently in 3rd. Right now at the moment, he's still comfortably in 2nd at the moment, but could be a bit in the 4 on the side of the 25 if he can get around the 9. Obviously, wanting to get momentum here. And if there was a late rate caution, being in 2nd would be a bit more favorable in the 30s. You see a little lockup there. Speaking of the 9, has a bit of a lockup there. But the problem is with being such a kind of short groove racetrack, it's very hard to make moves. The 3 will get out of the way here, kind of allow the 9 to get some fresh air here. And the 34 will follow suit here, so we'll actually cut back to the file action here. You can see the 61 gets around, but David Wright, not so lucky. We'll have to wait a second here to get around. But again, 34 does not have to really press the 9, as he's gotten a good haul stage points here, finishing 2nd in the first stage, 3rd in the 2nd stage. So he's looking pretty good to get his way in. He's not in a risk of falling out, but obviously wanting at least get a good podium spot for momentum going into next week. A little bit further down, speaking of the problem with Scheller, we saw him get a little loose up inside. He just got passed by Tom Sears. So something has gone wrong with that 25 machine. He's had an incident. He's lost a lot of time. And now, speaking of, he's about in threat of going down a lap here to Tommy Reynolds. So we saw him kind of go in that inside line, make a mistake, and then check up and lose a lot of time. So something has gotten wrong in that 25 machine. And it's a bad time for it to happen right now, as he's under threat of going one down. If he does, he could really be in trouble. Reynolds will now take the inside. The 25 will get past the high side. So now Tommy Reynolds up to, well, not up any position, but actually a little bit further back. We have a battle here for second, as Featherplace finally found like he had a charge out around the high side. Couldn't get the job done, though. But he is there, and he feels like he's faster. He wants around this 9 car. Looks like he could not really capitalize here. He had a chance there coming off of 1, but looks like he was just a little too late. And now kind of get back in a rhythm here to try to make another lunge. It should be one thing, as you obviously notice on the left side of the screen here, time has not really been gained all that much. Looking at last time, for instance, with Wanzing and Featherplace, they're running slightly faster times than Reynolds at the moment, but that gap being 8 seconds, it's going to be a tall task to try to reel in that 7 without the 7 making a mistake. See, this battle is still raging on here. So I was just quickly doing some quick calculations here. So sorry for the little bit of the silence. Just making sure the math is correct here at the moment in the championship files. Looking at the chat, thank you for the follow, Kaiser4525. Thank you for joining us here and following the channel. as hopefully this racing has been quite interesting for you as I've been on standby broadcast here tonight. So as the field's been a bit neutralized, we'll do another quick wrap around the field here situation to kind of show how everyone is. Tommy Reynolds, we'll start with him, currently leading this race. Again, coming into tonight, he was in a must-win situation. He has won at both stages and is now looking good to try to win this race here and clash his ticket in the Phoenix. With still a pit stop to do and a handful of laps left in this race, at least over 50. It's still smooth, has still a long way to go. But 7th, looking at pace to win. Seth Wansing, currently in 2nd position. He is currently leading a bit of a train here. He's got the 34 behind him and the lap down car of the 61 of Josh Gaiman. Speaking of the other 2 cars in question, Seth Wansing right now currently in at the moment, but coming at the end of Stage 2, he was tied with his Sunny Minor Racing teammate Daniel Michel. And Michel had the tiebreaker, I believe, with the more wins. And the more recency wins. So Michel was looking good at the moment to get in, but with his bad troubles, he's fallen down to 6th. Wansing at the moment, currently in. Speaking of the car in 3rd, Brandon Featherplace, currently in 3rd place. He's currently got a wide, comfortable margin, regular season champion, looking good at the moment to get in the playoffs, as long as he holds where he is. But still longer to go. Would like to win this race for momentum going into Phoenix if he can do that, or at least get a spot up here at the moment, as there's Dave Michel getting put 1 down. It's already 1 down, getting put further down. David Wright, currently in 4th position. Having a good run here so far, top 5 car all night, but with the Texas Pete machine in a must-win situation with a strong stage performance with the 9 and the 25, David Wright will have to find a way to pull a hat trick out of the bag. And similar to Richmond, when he caught Reynolds, passed Reynolds, and won the race, he's going to have to try to find a way to pull that hat out of the bag one more time if he wants to fight for a championship at Phoenix. Tom Sears currently in 6th. A little bit ways away, currently at first car, 1 down. He's had an up and down day, but he's looking okay here so far. Looking to try to take out top 5. Not in playoff contention, but looking to help Lion Power in their constructors. Daniel Michel, currently in 6th. Had a bit of a mistake at the end of Stage 2, and he's really been having trouble recovering from that sense. As you can see here, he's now going to be losing a spot to Gaiman, and he'll fall down to 7th position. So having trouble keeping that car going in the right direction and losing points quickly. He's going to need a caution and some help here to get back in the lead lap to have a chance to maybe get back in the top 4 and fight for a championship. But if Reynolds were to lose, he could still get in. Stefan Oberstadt currently sitting in 8th position. Last of the playoff drivers here tonight. Again, up and down day, currently 2 downs. Had a bit of a trouble around here. He's known for finding luck out of nothing. We'll see what he can do here in the closing stages, if he can try to get that 3 machine and try to get it up to the lead. Ryan Padel currently in 9th here in this situation. Had an early spin early on. Still 3 down at the moment. Had a little bit of trouble looking to try to get a top 10 in this machine and hang on to a top 10 as he'll get moved here by Gaiman. And then Bren Roberts currently in the pit lane, currently out of this race along at this moment, leaving us with 9 cars still running. So back up to our race leader at the moment. Here's Tommy Reynolds again, 8 seconds clear, but Seth Wansing still holding off a charge here for Brandon Featherplace. Seth Wansing will make a move here around Tom Sears. Again, this is what we're watching, his 2nd position. As we're just within 50 to go. We'll be 50 to go next time by. Closest battle we do have on track at the moment is between these 2 cars here. The regular season champion and one of the most driver that's won the most championships here in the A-Square competition. Over back there, you can see Tom Sears. Actually, looking for the car there in question as this battle's beginning to grow here. Tom Sears and Josh Gaiman, they are fighting for position here. This Gaiman's now going to get himself back in the top 5 with that move as Sears now fall down to 6th. So even though both cars one down, that is the battle for the lucky dog at the moment. If caution were to come out right now, we'll put Gaiman back on the lead lap. But that's if we get another caution. Looking through the field here, just seeing if there's anything else really worth noting here. Everyone else is pretty much in their own worlds as we cut through some angles here. But again, Wansing and Featherplace, they've been battling ever since Stage 2 has come to a finish. Oh, the final stage has started, I should say. They've been fighting hard. And even though both drivers right now in the minute are in the playoffs, a lot can still change. Again, with being a one-groove racetrack, it's been hard. Stefan Oberstadt taking a pit stop here. Looks like it may be a scheduled stop for the number 3 car. So we'll see if anyone else elects to follow here. We'll have to keep an eye on the screen as we do expect one more pit stop here tonight. Actually, it looks like it may be a bit unscheduled. This is a long pit stop box in the window, though, so... Actually, no, he had a 15-second stop. My mistake. He had a good stop there. Misread my times there. So he is away. 15-second spot. 15-second stop for the number 3 machine. Trying to get the undercut. Try to make something happen here. So within 40 to go here. Again, Reynolds smooth sailing away right now. As we actually will cut back to him for a second here. Currently, as he's going to cross the line here to put us on lap 211, as he has a little blink out there for a second. Gap is 9 and growing. He's looking poised to win this race. But obviously, that can still change. Speaking of, Stefan Oberstadt looks like he was able to get around Ryan Pinnell for 8th. Now with them being on the same lap, they will put Oberstadt with his fresh tires. He was able to make a move, put himself in 8th spot. Speaking of, actually looks like we had a bit of a link there for a second. Almost threw me off, but it's looking like Featherplace is, again, I know I keep harping on this battle, keep watching it, but this is the closest battle we have on track. But it's also interesting because it just shows the dichotomy of this racetrack. Featherplace seems to have just as fast a car as Wansing. But the problem right now at the moment, looking at the last time for lap time, for instance, Featherplace ran a 20.46, a 20.61 for Wansing. Crossed the line this time by again. It's a 20.41 Wansing, 20.51 for Featherplace. So they seem to be trading faster laps between the two of them. And the problem is with the kind of being hard to pass around here, that 34 has not been able to really get a lunge or a run to really get around that 9. And like I said in the pre-race, track position is going to be key. And when the 9 was able to kind of get around, when the 25 did that move from 34 that allowed the 9 to get around, it's really paid off here. And we'll see if the 34 has something in that trick of sleeves to get around. But at the moment, he's kind of just stuck behind, just hoping to try to make something happen. As actually, we'll take a quick another camera angle here. We'll take a look at the gearbox here of the, speaking of the 9, we'll show his gearbox here. Kind of just show us the gap in question. You can just see as well as you can see that 34 gets kind of close, but and against my times, again, we'll check the times one more time by here. Last time by, Featherplace was a 10th faster. Now he's only actually he's a second, not even a second slower. It was a 20.53 for Wanzing and 20.54 for Featherplace. So they seem to be trading lap times here. And every time Featherplace gets a slight gain, Wanzing gets it right back. And even look at Gaiman, he's one down, but he's been just constantly there in this battle as we've been watching it. He's been able to kind of just hang on and just make it work. Speaking of, you can see up for the time and scoring here as we'll cut back here. Tommy Reynolds just put down, or at least a couple laps ago, put down David Wright. So he's lapped. Tommy Reynolds has been really, again, he's put the foot down here. We know in the spring race, his now teammate, B-Tron Racing teammate, Jeremy Brea, was able to get the pole position, not the pole, win the race, I should say, in that 74 machine. So looks like, again, chips were down. Reynolds knew what he needed to do, and right now, he's done it to a T, and he's really made that 7-car work here as he's lapped all the way up to 4th. And he's only about 6-ish seconds away from Featherplace and 7 away from Wanzing. So as we're coming close to a finish here, it's looking likely that the 7's looking good to win this, bearing a mistake. But first car in here, 61 a game, and he has come on in for service. I think he's hit his scheduled window here. And he's electing to come in to try to maybe get around right through an undercut. We'll see him come on down here for his service. Featherplace, speaking of cars pitting, Featherplace and Reynolds both in for service here, so Seth Wanzing will stay out one extra lap. Brandon Featherplace will elect to try to go for the undercut here and maybe try to lunge cars. Now Seth Wanzing in as well. So at the moment, Sears should, in theory, I think get at least his lap back at the very least and could inherit the lead if everything goes all said and done. There you can see the 61 going around. There's Sears as well. So Sears will get his lap back. I don't think he'll get the lead as Reynolds is now in his box officially. Should go away. There's Featherplace leaving his situation. So we'll keep an eye on this 34 machine here. Actually, we'll switch to a wide camera here just to see if we can maybe see the 9 in his box here. So we'll keep an eye on the bottom right of your screen here. Keep an eye if you can see that Miller Lite machine and if this undercut can work. Away he goes. There's a 9's box. Wanzing is nowhere to be seen. There he is right there. Featherplace is going to get a good run off the corner, and he will get the spot. So the undercut works for 34. Knowing track position is the king. Going for that one-lap undercut, it was just enough, that 34, to jump the 9. And looking at the pit stop windows here, obviously it was a little slower of a spot. The thing that really played the difference, Brandon Featherplace had a 42.98 pit road time. Seth Wanzing had a 43.42. So being slightly more aggressive coming into the pit lane worked a treat for the 34. And he's now up to second with 34 to go. Some drivers who've yet to make the final pit stops of the race, including Tom Sears and Daniel Michelle. Both one down. There's the 42 with David Wright. Looks like he had a bit of an incident here. Yeah, it looks like he had a crash. As they get around him, we'll take a quick look just to see what exactly that was. So we'll actually just take a quick look here to confirm it. So give me 1 second. So the playoff driver needing a win. Yeah, it looks like he went a little too aggressive in the one. It ran up the racing surface. And you can see right there, cars getting around. So we'll cut back to Featherplace here. There, speaking of David right there, he is now down to 7th position after that spin with Gaiman getting around. Inside 20 to go. We'll do a final playoff breakdown when we get to the end, but to give a quick update on where everything runs right now, with my math, at the moment, it is Brandon Featherplace, Josh Gaiman with his win at Las Vegas. He's got 1 of the spots. Brandon Featherplace, he will be in spot 2. Tommy Reynolds, obviously winning here tonight, will be in spot 1 of the spots as well if he is able to hold on and win right now, being the leader. And Seth Wansing, the team owner of Sunday Monday Racing, he should, finishing ahead of Daniel Michelle, should take the final spot in the playoffs. Wansing gets a little touch of the wall, but right now, again, everyone has to hold spots. If Wansing has a mistake, it could spell doom and gloom. Same thing with Featherplace. Featherplace has a good enough cushion. I think he'll be okay. But you obviously don't want to try to take a chance and find out, if you will, as the less censored version would say, or the more censored version. We're in 14 to go. Featherplace is holding strong. We actually will cut the Tommy Reynolds here. Again, hasn't put a foot wrong all day. Got his way at a little bit of a poor quali, but after that, he really came strong and really showed his might. Is looking good here to finish the job. Reynolds is going to come around here to take 10 to go. He's got an 11-second lead over Brandon Featherplace and a 12 over Seth Wansing. Speaking of that battle we're watching between Featherplace and Wansing, Featherplace is looking good at the moment. Gap is growing to about a second. You can see it right there on track. Featherplace seems to be pulling away. He has caught a bit of traffic here with Oberstadt. But once he gets around, he should have smooth sailing, which he will. So it looks like Featherplace is looking good to keep 2nd position. Wansing looking to keep 3rd. And then Oberstadt will pull away. But back to Tommy Reynolds. Looking quite strong. You can say he's been quite strong throughout the night. Once he got this lead, he never truly looked back. He had some threat from competition from him behind. But he's just got the job done. Six to go here. He's going to get around Daniel Michelle. Michelle probably kicking himself just a bit here, knowing that this could be, with Reynolds winning, it looks like it's going to be champ. If my math is correct, it's going to be a close. for that number 25 chances at a championship, as the doors could slam shut here in 5 laps time. Four to go. And nothing else really holds much implications here. Oh, David Wright has spun and almost right in front of the 7 there. 7 had to take evasive action. A few other cars will too as well. We'll see if we can quickly get to him here on my list. He'll now get it going, as it won't play too much of a factor for Feather Place and Wanzing as they were far back. But you can see Michelle had to check up, and Reynolds almost plowed in there. That could have played a major factor. Actually, Dan Michelle did stop on track, so it did trigger him as an incident as well. But we stayed green. Could have easily been the caution that may have gave Feather Place and Wanzing a chance to take this win. Will hold out. So back to Reynolds. He'll come to 2 to go. Next time by, he will see the white flag. Two more corners to go, and he sees the white flag. The next flag will end the race. Coming off a 4, white flag in the air here at the ARCS Paperclip 250. Tommy Reynolds, again, knew what he had to do coming into the night. He had to go in there, win this race, to give him a chance to punch his ticket to go to Phoenix. And as he comes out of 4, Tommy Reynolds has done just that. He will win the Paperclip 250 and be fighting for a championship at Phoenix next week. Brandon Featherplace will come home here in 2nd position. He will also give himself a playoff spot here. And Seth Wanzing, he will take the final spot in and will join Josh Gaiman, Tommy Reynolds, and Brandon Featherplace for fighting for a championship next week. And as the rest of the field finishes out here, Tom Sears will come home with an impressive top 5. David Wright will be 6th. Oberstadt will be 7th. Danny Michelle will be 8th. Ryan Pinnell 9th. Bren Roberts 10th. And we'll see Tommy Reynolds here. He'll come on in. He'll be joined maybe by Stefan Oberstadt, as you're going to see him burn it down, letting out all that frustration. Knowing, again, he could have, after this great seasons he's had, didn't want to let it go to waste, and now he doesn't have to worry. He's through, and he'll be fighting for a championship. He's really going to enjoy it. As you can see, he's going to probably smoke it till it burns. There he goes. A little tap, love tap for the wall. And I think we'll see if he finishes up here with anything else. But as this plays out here, do not go anywhere. I do believe we're going to get the top 3 in here for an interview. We'll hear their thoughts. So I'll wait for them to file on into the interview room if we are still doing interviews. I will check that in a second. But Reynolds, happy camper he is, going to celebrate here. Party like there's no tomorrow, as he is in on the playoffs. So we'll see if the top 3 does file here. We'll give them a second here. If they do go in the interview room, I will give them an interview. But if not, we will go through final math here. So see if any pop in. If not, we will go through the rest of the procedures. I'll do some quick math here just to update the graphic here. So give me 1 second. And looks like they are all filing in here. So we will start with our race winner, Tommy Reynolds. We'll let him come on in here and give his thoughts. If I got a full screen. This can be 1 second. There we go. Oh, sorry to cut you in there. Tommy Reynolds, this is Kevin Young in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you.
All right. Well, you knew the mission statement coming in here. You needed a win to get into the playoffs, and it looks like you did that, just that. But we'll start off at the beginning here. How did you feel in the early part of this race? How did the car feel? Because it looked like you had a fast rocket in that number 7.
Yeah, qualifying went a little bit poorly there. Started on the outside row, so I knew that was going to be a little bit of a challenge. But I knew I had a decent long run car, so I knew if I could just get up there, at least that second row, I had a chance. So after we got to the clean air, it was basically good to go there. I took a gamble with that first stage and just took 2 tires, and that ended up working pretty well. But I tried it again here late, and it was a little too loose for my liking. I lost a bunch of time, but it didn't really matter in the end. It was still still fun to go out there and get a good old fashioned win.
Yeah, it definitely looked like you were having fun out there. We'll move on to the second question I guess I could throw out here. Again, you played that strategy early on. We saw you take the 2 tires. Obviously, tires did not really matter as much. Do you think this was a situation where track position was key? Clean air was a factor, or do you think you could have maybe got through if you were buried in the back of the pack?
I think it was possible. I think you had to probably do a little bit of rubbing it through the field, but um, I think strategy did help more than what I think people thought. The tires were obviously a bigger factor towards the end, and yeah, I just don't think anybody anticipated that, and I think that's kind of why you saw a little bit of a jumbled field.
Mm-hmm. I guess I do got one more question here tonight. Obviously, again, you won this race. You are now fighting for a championship next week in Phoenix. What do you feel about Phoenix? Do you think Phoenix is a strong track for you? Do you think you got a chance to bring home this championship and cap off this successful season in the 7?
I think so. We did pretty good here in the spring, so as long as Fetter Place isn't as close this time, I think it'll be a pretty good race. So I'm excited, and it's another short track, so I think I'll do pretty well.
Mm-hmm. You did win the spring race, so all eyes are on you to try to take home that championship. But as it is ABN tradition, if you have anyone you want to thank, sponsors, drivers, teams, what have you, family members, take it away. The floor is yours.
Just a shout out to Smeal Racing Designs. Thank you for the awesome paint schemes as usual. And that's all I got.
All right. Well, we wish you good luck next week in your championship hump, and hopefully, maybe we'll be talking to you next week as a champion.
I hope so. Thank you.
Anyway, that was Tommy Reynolds here. Tommy Reynolds bringing home the position in question. So now we will call on second place car here, Brandon Featherplace. He brought home second position. We'll bring him on in here and allow him to have a conversation here. Brandon Featherplace, this is Kevin Young in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
I sure do. How's it going?
Yeah, it's doing great here right now. Obviously a bit alone without Carmen, but I'm handling the interviews, so we will ask some questions on this way. So again, looks like you had a strong car in qualifying. Obviously you took pole position, but as the run comes on, you've been a little bit falling off. So how was the car out there today? Did you feel quite strong at Martinsville? How did you feel the car was?
I mean, really, I was just trying to hang on. I knew I was pretty good on points, but at the same time, it only takes one bad day, and all of a sudden you're not in the final four. So, I was trying to find that happy medium between pushing and kind of staying reserve, so I didn't wreck it. There was a lot of people spinning out, which kind of kept me in check. So,
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I mean, this was a long, grueling race for what it was. But it is what it is. Hey, I'll take it.
Yep, you did play. We saw you were playing a bit of a caution game. You knew you had that advantage. You didn't want to make a mistake, because we've seen some other drivers happen throughout the night. Further on, though, we did see you were kind of in an eternal battle with Seth Wanzing and Josh Gaiman for a lot of that second stage. So were you in a situation, I'll ask this question, were you kind of just waiting back there, waiting for the final pit stop, maybe do an overtake, or could you just not get around that 9 or get a run?
Um, I was just talking to Seth about that. There was no way for me to get around him clean. The set didn't support or maybe the track conditions didn't support me going around the outside, which I tried a couple of times. And I don't want to push him out of the way. I'd rather run him clean, and see who's faster. But it just so happened to work out that I guess since I pitted the lap early, I had decided I was going to take 2 tires, and I thought, hey, let's just see what happens.
Hmm.
And the car is definitely a handful on 2 tires, but I was able to leapfrog him and then stay in front of him, for that little bit. So that was definitely a plus.
Yeah, we saw that similar with Tommy Reynolds when he took at the end of stage 1. He took 2 tires and he was able to make it work. So tires were not as a strong necessity here as they were. It seemed to be more of a track position game, and it quietly worked out for you in getting a second position. Obviously, as you had a strong day here today, you have locked yourself in the Final Four for Phoenix next week. So let's take a little bit of a prediction for the Final Four. How do you think you're going to do at Phoenix? Do you think you got a strong chance to bring home a championship at Phoenix next week?
I would be crazy to say no.
I mean, you could give yourself less confidence. Try to run yourself as the underdog.
This is what we do it for. We've raced all year to make it to this final race, and I am gonna give it everything that I got, and try to be a little bit more aggressive. I've been a little reserved during this whole season, um, and I've been told quite a bit that what I'd probably do a little better if I was more aggressive. So we'll see. I'm gonna put the time in this week, and I feel pretty good about Phoenix. I think I finished well there the last time that I've raced there, so I'm pretty excited. Let's just go ahead and do it right now.
That's the comp. I think Reynolds will probably be on board with that as well, considering he won this race. He's probably very happy with that momentum going into it. But anyway, though, Feather Place, as obviously you're here, ABN tradition, anything you want to thank, sponsors, family, friends, pets, who have you, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you very much. Obviously, I want to thank Battle Beaver for being on the car. Thanks to Lion Power and Tom Sears for all of his help during these races all season. Um, Thanks to you for putting on the great broadcast, man. It's going to be awesome going back and watching this, and um, thanks to all the people that watched, everyone that goes back to watch. Hopefully you all enjoyed the show, and let's go get it at Phoenix.
Yep, I love that confidence there. Hopefully, if we are talking to you next week, maybe we'll be addressing you as a champion. But enjoy your night, Brandon, and hopefully you bring your A game next week at Phoenix.
Oh, I plan on it. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. And now we do have one more driver to talk to here. He finished third place, and he was a driver of the 9, Seth Wansing. So we'll bring him on in here. Seth, this is Kevin in the ABM booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Kevin, I got you.
Alrighty. So you are our third driver here finishing tonight. So we'll kind of start off with it. Coming into the night, you obviously had a bit of a cushion on the line, and we knew in that regard, in that point, but if a new repeat winner could have been a threat and won, which happened, you could have been in a bit of a spot. But first, we'll talk about your race itself. How did you feel about Martinsville tonight? You felt like you were quite strong. You did drop back a little in stage 1, but you really started to find it in stage 2 and stage 3.
Yeah, I love Martinsville, one of my favorite tracks, if not my favorite track. Just the line I was running, just with the way the car was set up, I like to try to wrap the bottom as much as I can, enter low, and stay on the curve a little bit, like a lot of guys were doing in the actual race today. But with the gearing and everything like that, that didn't really work out for me till the end of the run where I could hang on, and I had much better drive off than everybody towards the end of the run. Um, but had a pretty solid Miller Lite Chevy tonight, just not as good as Reynolds. And maybe if I could have stuck with him on the longer run, I just think guys like Reynolds and Fetter Place and Michelle were faster than me on that short to mid run, and then that mid to long run is when my speed started to show up. So hopefully that was enough to get me in. I'm not sure how playoff points and stage points kind of account into everything just yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of awkward in the Sunday Money chat when me and Michelle kind of realized either one of us got to beat Reynolds or it's down to us two, and I think we were tied if I did math
Yep,
right going into
I
stage 3.
was just about to confirm that for you. That would have been my next question. Going into stage 2, because of where Michelle finished up, you second, you finished fourth. You were tied in a dead heat, so you were basically whoever finished higher between you and Michelle was going to take the last spot in. So again, my question was going to be: is how do you feel with adversity, racing your teammate, knowing that you two are fighting for a championship, fighting for a playoff championship? If a berth, if you will, if Reynolds wins this race. So how did it kind of feel knowing the game plan?
It was mutual respect. I feel bad for Daniel. It would have been a really close race. I think I had better long run speed than he did, but he took off really well. I actually took off better than I had all day. In stage 3, I think the cloud cover kind of helped the line I run a little bit, and just staying low. Um, and just I think he got the wall and bent the right front a little
Mm-hmm.
bit, and that kind of put a real damper on his day. And Daniel's one of the, if not the best driver in the series. I'm proud to have him as one of my drivers. I wish both of us were racing it out. I know he scored better than me in the stages, but if it's a tie, then if everything goes official, I sounds like I'm going to Phoenix. So.
Was just about to confirm with you. Obviously, with you two being tied at the end of stage 2. Obviously, ARCS and A squared will confirm this for me. But if my math is correct from what I'm calculating, then you would be the last driver in right now competing for a championship at Phoenix. So I guess the next question will be: is obviously you are a 3-time champion in A squared. How do you feel about Phoenix? Do you think you could be in a contention to challenge Reynolds, Gaiman, and Featherplace for a championship next week in Phoenix?
Hell, I'm happy. I haven't really heard from anyone yet, so that's the first time here, and just happy to be racing for a championship again. Been a little bit since I've gotten to do that. Just missed out last year. Last year was the track I came in above the cut line last year here, and just got spun like 3 or 4 times from first or second. Oh, nice to make it out of Martinsville alive and go to Phoenix. I had a car to win last year in the fall in Phoenix, and I was running, I believe, third, and I kind of backed out of the throttle and let the championship guys kind of race for it there towards the end, if I remember correctly,
Mm-hmm.
or something to that nature. So I definitely feel like I can go compete. Obviously, Brandon and Josh and Tommy are stupid fast. It's an honor to be able to race with those guys week in and week out, and just take the underdog approach. I've been kind of steady Eddie all year. Had a couple wins, but just stay in the top 5, top 10 all year, and see if we can't put it all together. So why not me, huh?
Yeah, why not you indeed? So since it is ABN tradition here, obviously, again, it is unofficial. We wait till that gets confirmed. But with my math, I'm seeing that as the way it's going, as I've been following along from the best perspective. But we'll ask you, as it is ABN tradition, is there anyone else you want to thank? Sponsors, friends, family, pets, who have you? If there's anyone you want to thank, the floor is yours.
Want to thank Sunday Money Racing, first of all, Daniel and Brand and Donald. Big help all year. And then thank you to you and Carmen for broadcasting all year. I'm sure tonight was fantastic. Can't wait to go back and watch it, even though Reynolds put on an ass kicking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure the racing was still good. Um, Thank you to my friends, and I got a couple friends watching, and family, and a special person watching as well. Shout out to them, and we'll go on to Phoenix and see if we can't pull one off.
Well, again, we thank you for joining us here. And again, if you are confirmed for Phoenix, hopefully we'll be talking to you next week, and maybe we'll putting a 4 next to your name for championships in regard. But take it easy, Seth, and hopefully we bring you some good vibes next week in Phoenix.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. Gonna try.
All righty then. So that will do it for that. We will now quickly go over the results and then show the championships off again here as I pulled it up while Wanzing was talking, but we'll show it again. Tommy Reynolds had a dominant day here, finishing out quite strong in that 7 machine, takes home the checker flag, and punches his ticket for Phoenix. Moving down the field, you can see Brandon Featherplace finish second, Seth Wanzing third, Josh Gaiman fourth, Tom Sears will round out your top 5. Further down, you can see David Wright, Stefan Oberstadt, Daniel Michelle, Ryan Pinnell, will all finish this race 1st through 9. Bren Roberts, last car to go behind the wall, finished 10th. Edward Marshall retired early along with Austin Mungold, and that will be how the top 12 finish in this regard. We'll now take a quick look at the championships and show you what I mean. Well, if I can pop that graphic up, we'll take that. SDK is a little bit of a tricky one for me sometimes, but we're getting it done. And here's the official final points here going into Phoenix. Obviously, Reynolds, I actually have to quickly make one change as he's currently slotted in 6th position. So give me 1 second here. Let me just give him a quick random section of points here. So give me 2 seconds here, as he obviously didn't get enough points to finish through. But since he won, we'll just do this real fast. Make this look official, if you will. All right, one quick little blunder there. Now we will show the standings, and there we go. So anyway, as you can see right there, as we can confirm it through the math, Tommy Reynolds obviously with the win and now putting him ahead of everything. He is now officially in to the Final Four, along with Josh Gaiman in his win. Brandon Featherplace had the best points technically out of this stage. He would technically outpoint every other driver. He made it through. And then Seth Wansing makes it in, if my math is correct, by 5 points over Daniel Michel. Obviously, if there's any corrections or any mistakes, ARCS will correct that. They will correct the record. Keep an eye on the ARCS social media pages, along with abnesports.com, as you see on the bottom, and the ABN socials, as they will update the standings. But right now, unofficially, almost official, it's going to be Tommy Reynolds, Brandon Featherplace, Josh Gaiman, and Seth Wansing fighting for a championship next week in Phoenix. And one of those 4 drivers, 35 long weeks of banging, grangling, and fighting it out, and one of them will host the A-Square Championship. But that is going to do it for me here tonight. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast here. I know a little bit of a odd broadcast as Carmen is not here. First broadcast I have technically done solo here, along with producing. So if there are any mistakes, again, I do apologize on that front. But hopefully you still had fun. Next week, Carmen will obviously be here for the finale Sunday for the championship. But we do also have a full programming week of ABN broadcasts coming up. I know tomorrow, HDL Cup Series is racing. Tuesday, the HDL Truck Series will be broadcasting. I know I'll be there, most likely. I know Carmen will still be out, so we'll see whom will be joining us in the booth for that one, but that will be the case. Thursday is the Hyper Formula Championship. That should be broadcasted as well, whether officially or through a car perspective. We'll have to see on that. And then obviously Saturday, the ABN the ARCS Saturday night showdown situation, and then that leads back to the finale here tonight, 1 week from tonight, where we crown a champion in Phoenix for the A-Square Cup Series. 35 weeks will lead to one driver winning it. But that will be that. Thank you for tuning in, and we hope that you have a good rest of your night, and hopefully you have a good rest of your week, and we see you here again. Till then, here's Kevin Young signing off. Thank you, and good night.